After visiting Casino Pier, Playland's Castaway Cove, and Jillian's Wonderland Pier last year, something has been pulling me back to the New Jersey coast. Perhaps it's the phenomenal vibe and atmosphere of the boardwalks and boardwalk parks, or the beautiful settings. And let's also not forget that I had to skip New Jersey's most prominent seaside park in 2020, Morey's Piers. At the time I was in the area, many of the large-scale coasters weren't open, so I held it off and said I'd eventually return to the area. Well, just last month we impulsively decided to check it off our list by adding it to our East Coast trip itinerary at the last second. And in my eyes, it was an awesome idea because Morey's Pier suddenly had all 7 coasters running and made for a fantastic last day of the road trip. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking all 7 of these roller coasters and we'll stack them up against each other, ranking them worst to best. But before we get into today's list, I'd like to mention that liking the video and subscribing to the channel below are the best ways to show your support to the channel. It highly encourages me to produce videos like these, and it's also very much appreciated. But with that being said, these are the top 7 roller coasters at Morey's Piers. Number 7, Wild Whizzer. The park's smallest roller coaster is situated on Mariners Pier, which, by the way, I should have mentioned that the park is separated into 3 individual piers. 3 coasters are on Mariners Pier, 3 are on Surfside Pier, and 1 is on Adventure Pier. Anyways, back to the ride. Wild Whizzer is your very common SPF Visa spinning coaster. These aren't necessarily bad rides, but they aren't really good either. They're very repetitive and pretty uninspired. But hey, at least you spin, which is relatively unique for a kid's coaster in this model's defense. Other than that, and other than getting an additional coaster credit, this thing was not exactly noteworthy for any particular reason, so moving on. Number 6, Whopper. We're now moving on over from a common ride on Mariners Pier to a very rare type of coaster on Surfside Pier. This one may be a Wild Mouse roller coaster, but it was manufactured by Zimperla and there are only 7 of those operating worldwide. Aside from getting rarity points, it doesn't exactly ride especially well. It's janky but smooth, mild but enjoyable, and best of all, you get a wonderful view of the surrounding area. It's definitely a mixed batch of a roller coaster, but it's a decent, unique little family coaster, just nothing more in my book. Number 5, Rollies Coaster. Built in the year 1999, this Pinfari Zyklon model does not have a good reputation in the coaster enthusiast community, and thus I was expecting a pretty bad ride here. What I got instead was a glossy, smooth family coaster that didn't exactly pull any forces. If anything, this was the opposite of what I was expecting, and while it didn't do a whole lot for me, I didn't walk away thinking it was a bad ride, which is a good thing. So if you were like me, don't be intimidated by Rollies Coaster. The trims and claustrophobic trains are the only things that kinda suck, but everything else will not do any harm to riders. This truly isn't a bad ride at all. Number 4, Runaway Tram. Personally, this is my favorite family coaster at Morey's Piers, and it's not even close. Built by Zero as recent as 2019, this zippy ride has some super fun transitions, keeps a good pace throughout the layout, and circles through the whole course twice. It's also one of the smoothest coasters I've ever been on. In addition, it pulls some decent forces at points, which, like many of the other things that Runaway Tram achieves, I was not expecting from this coaster. I honestly went in thinking this was going to be a one and done, and although we did only have time to do it one time, I would have happily gone back for a rewrite if we had the time. What a fun roller coaster. Any member of the family should be able to enjoy Runaway Tram. Number 3, Sea Serpent. This ride right here is without question the best Vekoma boomerang I've ever ridden. In addition to having newer vest restraints, it's clear that Morey's Piers puts in the perfect amount of TLC to keep this thing running smooth. Even compared to other vest restraint boomerangs like Flying Cobras at Carowinds or Sidewinder at Hershey Park, it's no contest between which ride is smoother. Sea Serpent runs impeccably well for a boomerang, and it allowed me to appreciate the intense layout without getting my head smashed around or body shaken around. Also, this was my favorite of the 3 coasters on Mariners Pier, which I just wanted to mention in case you guys are watching this before your first ever visits. In conclusion though, this is a purely enjoyable roller coaster. I seriously never imagined to have this high of an opinion on a Vekoma boomerang ever. Number 2, Great Noreaster. I talked about how Sea Serpent was the best boomerang ever, and likewise, Great Noreaster is the best Vekoma SLC I've ever ridden. It's the exact same story here, vest restraints and phenomenal TLC. Again, I never imagined that I'd have this high of an opinion on an SLC. I've thought to myself before though, what would it be like to enjoy these intense and honestly pretty great layouts without any sort of roughness anywhere? While Batman at Six Flags Mexico and Riddler Revenge at Six Flags New England did come close, Noreaster is exactly what I've always thought up in my head. In addition to the smooth ride too, you have plenty of near misses with the intertwined water slides, which again, what SLC offers near miss elements? It's so cool. Truthfully, this is a great ride. What other Vekoma SLC can you say that about? Number 1, Great White. Honestly, it was super close between this, Noreaster, and even Sea Serpent, to be honest. All 3 are pretty similar in terms of quality, but I'd ultimately take Great White over those coasters for a couple of reasons. 1, it's an original layout. I'm not as bothered by the whole cloned thing as many of the other enthusiasts out there, but I'm still gonna appreciate an original layout when I see one. Plus, when it comes to seaside parks that don't always have space to kill, that's an increasingly rare sight to see a wooden coaster on a boardwalk. My second reason is that Great White has a bit more sensation diversity. Sea Serpent and Great Noreaster are both both intense with a lot of positive Gs, but Great White has some killer laterals, some weak floater moments, but floater nonetheless, and one of the most beautiful views and locations of any coaster. Plus, something about large wooden roller coasters are just more cherishable compared to cookie cutter steel monsters that you can find at other parks. So for the reasons mentioned above, I find Great White to narrowly be the best of the 7 roller coasters at Morey's Piers. So I now conclude today's video of the top 7 roller coasters at Morey's Piers. This park is absolutely fantastic and a great way to kill time if you're on the New Jersey coast. For those of you who love boardwalk parks, I would totally recommend a visit to this place. But if you've already been here before, I'd be curious to see how many of you guys rank the coasters differently. Also, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel below if you'd like to show your support. But as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.